Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Make or Break Sports Podcast. Today is Monday, August 21st. Got a solid lineup for you guys today. All kinds of cool stuff going on. I'm Matt. Got Ben over there.
How we doing, guys? What's going on? Happy solar eclipse day, I guess. I think that's what it was.
Did you
Something
check
like
out?
that.
Did you check out the solar eclipse today?
Yeah, I'm kind of blind. I looked up at the sun directly, but so my eyesight's a
Yeah, I
little
didn't. I
blurry
didn't.
right now. But
I didn't. I didn't buy the goggles, so I didn't. I wasn't bothered
I
enough
did
to
the
go
cereal
check it out.
box. I set up the cereal box, so it worked. But hey, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I heard it was pretty sweet. So solar eclipse today. That was pretty cool. If you guys can see, I'm actually moved into my apartment out of college. So a little change of scenery. That's what I was doing this weekend. Ben, you do anything cool this weekend?
No, sir. Just kind of hung out, relaxed, took a break from work, and just kind of chill. Watched a little bit of Little League World Series. Watched some of the NFL games and stuff. So I watched that guy. Did you see that catch yesterday that kid made for the Junior
Dude, the
League
catch
World
was
Series?
incredible, man. What an incredible
Over the
catch by a
fence.
little leaguer. That was awesome.
So,
I'd be
yeah,
so mad if that home run got robbed, but that was
you
cool.
don't have the
Dude
power to hit
killed
one
it.
out of there, though, Matt. But
No way, dude. That's not in my wheelhouse to hit it out. So all right, guys. So kind of in this little gray zone with sports right now, where there's not a whole lot going on, but just all kinds of anticipation. So much cool stuff coming up within the next couple of weeks.
Next week it all starts.
Oh yeah. First you got Mayweather this weekend. That we'll talk about that a little bit later.
College football this week, and not a lot of big games. Stanford and Rice probably the biggest one over in Sydney, Australia. But other than that, I mean, not really. No really other big games to talk about really there. But I mean, it's getting going though. We're getting closer and closer.
And then, of course, the NFL season on the near horizon. So fantasy football leagues are getting ready. It's getting intense. All kinds of drafts coming up. I know I got 2 drafts this weekend.
I got
Ben,
2
you're on
on
with
Sunday
me. We
as
got
well,
a couple
buddy,
other ones going on.
Yeah, man.
It
It's
is going to
time.
be
That's what we've
awesome.
been waiting
I'm so
for.
excited.
Christmas Day. Sunday's Christmas Day.
So
for
all
fantasy.
right. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be great. So let's just get into it. Like, let's start off. We're just gonna start off with a couple some news and notes around the NFL. So I guess I hope you guys saw Anquan Bolden after signing with the Bills a few days ago, actually deciding to call it quits.
Yes.
Crazy news. Anquan Bolden calling it quits. It was really out of the blue.
Matt, I love Anquan Bolden. You know, he's one of those guys who's a consistent receiver. He was always a lockdown, especially in the red zone for you. But this just makes it better for me because my hype for Zay Jones can stop fluctuating now and it can stay.
The Zay Jones hype train is just full speed ahead right now.
1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah,
Zay Jones
full
is going to
steam
break
ahead
out.
on the Zay Jones hype train.
With Jordan Matthews hurt right now, Zay Jones is getting all the first-team looks. He's going to be the number 2 receiver most likely, unless he takes over the number 1, which I think is a possibility. But Zay Jones back up. Jordan Matthews' stock definitely rises if he gets back healthy. So,
gotta love Zay Jones.
Good for those guys.
Yeah, so 14 seasons, got to salute Anquan Bolden. Goes down right now 9th in all-time receptions, played for 4 different teams, went to a Super Bowl, I believe, with the Cardinals, or was he not on that Cardinals team?
Was
he on the Cardinals team?
I think he might have been.
I think he was with Kurt Warner, yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations. Salute to Anquan Bolden. Great career. What a solid wide receiver. When I think of Anquan Bolden, I always think of the one iconic play where against the Jets, that one game where the Jets were wearing those awful uniforms, but we'll talk about that. Throw the pass in there to him, and he just got absolutely destroyed, broke his jaw. Everyone thought it was going to be a season-ending injury. I think he played, next week, 2 weeks later, something like that. He got right back out there.
Like, wow.
So he was just tough as nails, dude. Just that guy you want in the locker room, great locker room guy, and an awesome, talented wide receiver. Yeah. So salute to the career for Anquan Bolden.
So
what a career.
Yeah, Nick, let's go a different kind of scenario here. We got Le'Veon Bell still not at Steelers camp. Kind of expected that he wouldn't show up because of the whole contract dispute. He hasn't signed his franchise tag yet, but he's just going to play under that $12.1 million tag. He says he's going to play. The coaching staff believes he's going to play. The big thing is, they want to get him work, and they're saying they don't expect him to be there for even this next upcoming week. As a Steelers fan, it's kind of not – I don't want to say disheartening because I know that they want him. He wants to be there. He said he wants to be there. So I think he will show up, but I just would like to him get that little extra 2 games work, especially coming off the injury that he had. Seeing him live in game action would be really nice. But I know he can't win it all. I know he's in a kind of tough spot right now, but for me, it's a little scary.
Yeah, it stinks for the Steelers fans, and it stinks for Steelers in the locker room, too. It's just a bad situation. And fantasy owners, it's hard to really know what's going to go on with Le'Veon Bell. I did read a report today. I believe it was on Twitter. I saw someone posted an article of talking about how they expect him to kind of return after the third preseason game. But anytime you got a dude sitting out this much of the preseason, I know he's probably working out a little bit privately, but anytime that you got a guy that's not working out in the offseason with your team, or in the preseason, I should say, you got to worry about possible injury. He does have a small injury history, and you got to worry about maybe coming out and not being as fresh, maybe pulling a couple muscles.
Yeah.
Always, I know that hamstring is always a big thing for players that do that holdout type deal. They come out and they're just not in game shape, and they pull that hammy or whatever, tweak something, and then they end up missing more time. So it's tough. I mean, I think that as far as fantasy goes, you still got to love Le'Veon Bell. I'm still picking him at 1 or 2 if I had the choice, just because I know he's going to be there. Like you said, he says he wants to be a Steeler for life. And I think when he does play, he's as talented as it gets. So just one of those situations you like to see get resolved as soon as possible, and I think it will here soon in Pittsburgh.
I'm hoping, man. We need him back.
What do you think this does for James Conner? You think James Conner might get some looks now because of this?
I don't think – I honestly am on the boat right now. I really think that the number 2 back for the Steelers is going to be Fitzgerald Toussaint to start the season. So I honestly think – I don't think James Conner – I know they drafted him, but I think they drafted him with the expectations of him in 2 or 3 years, if Le'Veon Bell were to leave or if Le'Veon Bell gets hurt or something like that, to be the guy. But I think right now Fitzgerald Toussaint is going to be the 2 back just because he has that experience in that offense. And then as a season – but they could put Conner in there for the kind of different situation because he's not exactly a great pass catcher out of the backfield. But Fitzgerald Toussaint
he played well. He played great the other day.
He did. Toussaint looked all right
yesterday.
Toussaint looked okay too.
Yeah.
So the big thing for me is if like I said, I think Toussaint will start as a 2 back, and I think Conner will eventually move up to 2. But I think for right now it's going to be Fitzgerald Toussaint. But I mean, it's Bell's going to get 30 touches a game if he's playing. So I don't think both of them are basically irrelevant.
I don't think it really hurts Bell's fantasy stock at all. I like him a lot still going forward, but definitely hope that he shows up and gets that situation taken care of. You got to hope. I hope the Steelers come to a deal with him. I mean, he's been so good for them. You'd hope they would pay him like he deserves. Well, it won't be a deal now
for another year, so they can't do a deal now until next offseason. But, I mean, I think something will happen. But
I hope so, too. Speaking of deals getting done, I don't know if anybody saw, how about Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, signing an extension to be the commissioner through 2024. So Roger Goodell locked in on a multi-year contract. He's around to stay. A lot of people don't like him. That's for you to decide, kind of your own personal opinion. But he's around to stay for a while. And what do you think, Ben, about Roger Goodell?
Yeah, I mean, he's been – so – right, like I said, I don't want to get too much into the logistics with Roger Goodell because, I mean, people are fans, people aren't fans. But, like, he just gets such, critical reception for what happened with the whole Tom Brady incident and what happened with the whole Josh Brown incident, getting 1 game suspension, and now the whole thing with Ezekiel Elliott getting 6 games for basically the same thing. It's just interesting on the way he does things, and people don't really like that. I think the most interesting thing for me about this, Matt, is that there's all indications that after the 2021 season that there's going to be a lockout, and this basically locks Roger Goodell in for that. So it's going to be Roger Goodell against the league, basically, and the NFLPA, and DeMaurice Smith. I know everybody a lot to say about him, but we don't want to get into that too much. But, it's just a very interesting situation. But now I think it's going to lock those up to be basically a showdown, and Roger Goodell wants to get it out. But I just think the amount of money that guy makes is just ridiculous. Like,
it is crazy. One of the highest paid men in sports right now. And this contract makes him, I don't know the exact specifics, but I saw something that said he's one of the highest paid male sports figures.
There was only 2 since 2005. Only 2 North American-born athletes had made more than him, and that was Alex Rodriguez and Kobe Bryant. So that just gives you kind of a.
Wow, you're throwing him in the bucket with a lot of polarizing figures.
So you tell me who is more polarizing, Kobe Bryant or Roger Goodell? I mean,
I don't know, man. I was happy Goodell suspended Brady. I know he didn't deserve it, but I was happy.
I mean, I was happy he suspended him too, but it's just the way he does.
How. No, he does. He goes about things the wrong way. I do think he could be better about the way he goes about his suspensions, and he gets a lot of slack. And it's tough though. Yeah. He's in a position where you're not going to please anybody, so it's tough. But good for Roger Goodell. I'm sure that Mrs. Goodell is very happy about all that too. So just a couple things around the NFL, guys. Not a whole lot going on, like we said. Coming up soon, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. Also, if you didn't check out, we just posted a shorter kind of snapshot rankings for our 2017 fantasy football quarterbacks. If you didn't check out that video, go check it out on our channel. Also, hit that sub button, throw a like on the video, and then also check out our past episodes on the podcast.
Yeah, we basically just updated our quarter. I know we talked about in our very first podcast, we went through our rankings that we had not made. But after seeing everything that's gone on in the preseason, who we're high on, who we like people more or less, so injuries, we move people up and down in those rankings. So we're going to try until leading up to the season, probably hopefully within the next 2 weeks, so you guys can draft before you guys draft. We're going to try and get your our newest rankings out to you. We're going to post them as well, so you guys can take a look at them. So our updated rankings. But as for our spotlights that we've been doing, we're down to our what? We have this one and two more, so three left.
Two more after today. All right, getting close, man. Getting close.
Since you have the jersey on, who are we talking about today, buddy?
We are talking about the AFC South. My Colts. I'll try not to be very biased. I promise. I'll be very objective with this. No bias.
I'll put you right back down if you get up high.
Yeah, please. If I get too biased, let me know. I'm gonna try not to, even though the Colts are the best. Just all my Colts gear here and But we got your Indianapolis Colts, your Tennessee Titans, Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars for the AFC South. So, Ben, this division's got some interesting stuff going on. It's always one of those shaky divisions. The winner never seems to come out with too many wins, except with the exception of the Colts having 11 a couple years ago. But it seems like this division is a dogfight, but it's a sloppy dogfight, man. These guys, this division gets rough sometimes to watch. And
yeah, I mean,
but
the past
all
couple
kinds
years
of drama
going
on.
The past couple of years, the Titans are starting to get there. I'm really high on the Titans this year. The Jaguars, I think the Jaguars are on the rise. Maybe not this year for a couple of these teams, but I think the Titans are right there. The Texans have made the playoffs the past couple of years. I think it's a very interesting division, and it might not be pretty, but it is, like you said, it is a dogfight, and I'd rather see two teams fighting for a playoff spot at 9-7 than seeing the Patriots go 15-1 and just walk through in their division. Seeing those tight games and having games mean more and more, that's what it's about for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is always a competitive division like you want to see. Similar to the way the AFC or the NFC East is, it's always that dogfight for that last couple spots in. So talking fantasy-wise, who do you like in the AFC South as far as the best players division-wise for fantasy? There's a couple of them.
Yeah, we have a couple differences, I know, but I know two we agree on are T.Y. Hilton and DeMarco Murray. T.Y. Hilton last year led the NFL in receiving yards. He had 1,448 yards, only 6 touchdowns. That's kind of where his stock, or not stock, I guess, but that's kind of where his numbers, where he could definitely improve. So he had 91 catches, I'm pretty sure he had last year. So
91 for 1448.
Yeah, so I mean that those are big time numbers. That they like the deep ball to him as well. But right now with the questions Andrew Luck's having, you don't know if T.Y. Hilton, what his stock's going to look like. If Andrew Luck's healthy and throwing the ball, then T.Y. Hilton's the top 7 wide receiver. You could put him right up there with the A.J. Greens, the Mike Evans, those kind of guys. But
absolutely, with a healthy Luck, he's
with a healthy Luck, he's right there. And as far as DeMarco Murray's concerned, DeMarco Murray's done it for a couple different teams now. He did it with the Cowboys. It kind of didn't really do it that well with the Eagles, but he definitely showed his games. He had 1 or 2 games in there, I remember, with the Eagles where he actually broke through. But other than that offense really wasn't suited for him. But since he's been to Tennessee, he's been doing it all. I mean, he catches passes out of the backfield. He runs hard. He has those 2 touchdown games that are so valuable every once in a while, those 100-yard games.
He's been better as a pass catcher. 1,300 rushing yards last year. He did haul in 53 passes, so that's encouraging numbers, especially for people playing in PPR format.
Yeah.
DeMarco Murray's solid as it gets. He played great last year. I was looking Pro Football Focus has the Tennessee Titans ranked at the 4th best offensive line in football right now.
They're
behind that offensive line, Jack Conklin, Taylor Lewan, he has a chance to have another big season. And I think that Tennessee Titans offense, like you said, I think they're going to be firing on all cylinders on offense. So I really like Murray. I like Mariota.
Mariota. I don't have him on here at all, but Derrick Henry's probably the best backup running back in the NFL. He'd start for a lot of other teams. He'd be a starting running back for a lot of teams, and he showed glimpses. I mean, last year, I'm pretty sure he finished last year almost as a top 30 running back fantasy-wise, and he's a backup.
I think he ran for 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, anytime you can do that.
5 or 6.
It's definitely not like a 50-50 split. DeMarco Murray's the workhorse. But Derrick Henry will go in there and still get 10 carries a game because Tennessee's running 60 plays a game. And when you got 35 passes for Mariota, there's 25 carries or so out there to share. And Murray gets 20, and then they put in what's-his-name for 5. So, we'll see. I mean,
yeah, I like
think
Murray a lot. I think
that offense is going to be fun. That offense is going to be a lot of fun.
I had to, the little bias here, I had to throw Andrew Luck in the mix for best players in this division because when healthy, I know he's coming off the shoulder surgery with the torn labrum, but when healthy, which I think he should be by the start of the season, and even if he misses one game, I think when he comes back healthy and ready to go, and that's why they're being I like how they're being cautious with him. They're not rushing him back because they know what they've got with him. I think Andrew Luck is as good as it gets when he is healthy. He's got Hilton. He's got Moncrief, so he's got some weapons. I think he's going to have a good year this year. I really like Andrew Luck. I know there's been a lot of pessimism around him due to the injury, and this isn't just me as a Bleeding Hearts Colts fan. I really do think that in terms of fantasy value, when healthy, Andrew Luck is a lock starter and a top-tier guy.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it. If you go like that quarterback rankings video we just posted the other day, I talk about him. Andrew Luck for me is a great quarterback. He's a great fantasy quarterback, but for me, I have him so low until I see him throw the ball. I know he started doing the light tosses, but we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen him in game action. They say he'll be ready for week 1, but that's going to be off, a couple months without seeing game action. And for me, it's going to be a rusty start, which that doesn't mean he can't have a great year still. And if Luck's throwing the ball and he's healthy, the Colts are a different team. They have potential. And Matt, I just want to throw this out. I got some breaking news of my phone. Browns quarterback Brock Osweiler apparently has the locker room support and is expected to be the starter. So
good for you, Brock. Enjoy your season as the Browns starting quarterback.
I know that's
what is that
really,
number 98?
I know that's not really
number 98 in the last
really
couple.
Funny that I'm getting alerts about the Cleveland Browns. So I guess that's where we're at today. I know they played
a lot of sad Browns fans out there right now. Hey,
right, so,
get that trash out of the AFC South spotlight. We don't want to contaminate this podcast with Browns talk.
All right.
Congratulations, Brock Osweiler. I really don't have anything else to say about that.
You'll be starting for a team that gets maybe 2 wins. But all right, moving on to the AFC South. What do we got? Breakouts?
I got one breakout. I think there's a guy that is on the verge of a monster season. I know this is a popular choice for breakouts that I've seen. I think Tennessee Titan quarterback Marcus Mariota in year 3, he is going to come out and light it up. He's got an easy schedule. He's got a slew of new weapons and old weapons that are solid. With bringing in Decker, bringing in Corey Davis. You have Delaney Walker, a proven solid tight end. And then you have Rashard Matthews, who last season had a great season. I think Marcus Mariota is full steam ahead, going to have a great year. He has that running potential. They have a great offensive line. And I really like Mariota. I think he's going to have a star season.
I got him right there, but I have him as a sleeper. So I have him right there with you. I mean, I'm a little bit – just the reason I have him as a sleeper is because he's going so late in drafts when he has quarterback, top 5 quarterback upside. He's very, very accurate. I agree. He's very accurate. He has the mobility. I saw him scamper for like a 12-yard run the other day in the game, and just he knows when to go down. He slid out of a tackle instead of taking a hit like Cam Newton and all those other guys that run the ball do. So I think I'm in the same boat. I think he's poised to have a good year. Could definitely have him in there as a breakout as well, but I put him as a sleeper just because of that draft position. So. And
I think, he's not getting taken. And, guys, if for people that are going out there and you want to stock up on running back, wide receiver, get your position players down early in fantasy football drafts, Mariota has a ton of value late in the draft. I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily a guy I want as my only sole starter. You might want to pair him with another guy.
I would definitely.
But I mean, if you took him as a starter, I would be comfortable with that because that gives you the opportunity to bulk up the rest of your team, and you could have a solid fantasy football season. I love Marcus Mariota. He's my breakout for the AFC South.
I got 2 more, and they're actually the 2 more. The other one I'm going to talk about are actually both Colts, Matt. So I added one in the last 10 minutes that I forgot about.
Let's go.
I got Dante Moncrief as a breakout. I think playing alongside T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton definitely gets a majority of the looks and the targets there. Moncrief always seems to find his way into the end zone. I think he had 6 touchdowns in 6 games last year at the end when he finally came back healthy. And then the year before that, he had, I think, 7 touchdowns as well. So he's a guy that finds the end zone, and a lot of teams put the double coverage on T.Y. Hilton. So it leaves the opportunity available for Moncrief as well.
Moncrief's the guy. I have it right here. He played in 9 games. He started 7 because one of the games was injured.
Yeah.
One of the games he came back. So essentially a half a season's worth of games for Dante Moncrief. Hauled in 7 touchdowns. Yardage was a little low, only a little over 300. So obviously he's a red zone target.
Exactly. Yep. And that's
at
all you
6'3", 220. He is a monster red zone target, and I have him as one of my sleepers. So we'll get him out of the way now as well. I love Moncrief. I think that people don't give him enough credit because he's been injured. He's had a lot of different problems, and a lot of the other issues too is when Luck isn't there, he's a different player too. But a healthy Luck, Moncrief is another guy that could be a monster wide receiver, and I like him a lot too. I think he's got a lot of upside potential this year.
And the other Colt I have, I know you probably know who it is already. I'm going to go with the tight end Jack Doyle, getting a lot of popularity with Dwayne Allen out of the picture now. Jack Doyle played a role last year a little bit in that offense, but now he's going to be the number 1 tight end target. And I think the Colts not necessarily throw to the tight end a lot, but Dwayne Allen definitely got his looks. I mean, in the red zone especially, a bigger target. Because T.Y. Hilton's a tall guy, but he's not necessarily big. So I think having that big target like Jack Doyle, who's a good blocker as well, pretty good blocking tight end, and that's a great thing for an offense to have. I think Jack Doyle is going to get a fair share of looks this year. He's going as almost a tight end 2, but I think he has that tight end 1 potential. So
I'm not a super huge fan of Jack Doyle. I think that he's a very good football player. He's a great guy you want on your team because he is a Swiss Army knife. He can block. He's a hard player. He's played on special teams the past several years. So he brings a lot to the table. I don't know in terms of fantasy value how much he has because he is more of a blocking tight end. I agree with you, though. With Allen out of the picture, he may have a chance now to step into that role and excel as a pass catcher. We'll have to see. For me, the jig is still up on Jack Doyle. I think he could go either way, honestly. But I like it. And I hope he is a breakout.
So I have this one. I know you're different on this one, but let's just talk about it. We'll take a minute or two and talk about this one. Lamar Miller. So I had him down as a breakout. I guess you could not really put him as a sleeper for me. I just think Lamar Miller, he has the breakout potential in the fact that he's getting drafted right now, normally 3rd round, either mid-3rd, sometimes early 3rd, sometimes late 3rd, but somewhere in the 3rd round, basically, which I think is a good value for him. Because for me, Lamar Miller's a guy that's has the multi-asset. He can catch passes. He catches a lot of passes. Last year, he did not have a good year, but he does. The thing about it is he gets a lot of work. He had a lot of carries last year. I just think it was a bad year when they had the offensive line wasn't that great. You basically knew that you were going to be running the ball because Brock Osweiler. And I just think that they are improved, I feel like, on the offensive side, with the exception of Fuller being gone. But I do think that whoever's the quarterback there, whether it be Tom Savage or Deshaun Watson, I think they're a better option than previously mentioned Brock Osweiler. So I just think that Lamar Miller has potential to really exceed his expectations. I had him last year on my team, and he started almost every week. And, I mean, I am comfortable with him starting again for my team. But, he definitely does have that. He's a very high-risk, high-reward player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm the opposite on Lamar Miller. I think I have him down as one of my busts. I think Lamar Miller he was kind of middle of the road last year. I mean, I know he was okay. He didn't really find the end zone a whole lot. He kind of struggled a little bit. He only had 6 total touchdowns.
He did get tackled on the one, I think, 6 times. I'm pretty sure he got tackled on the 1-yard line 5 or 6 times, and that's when they put in Alfred Blue because Lamar Miller just broke off a long run, and they're like, "Oh, you get the break." And put Alfred Blue in.
Here's the number for me with, and this is the thing, and my busts, 2 of them are Texans. I think Lamar Miller is one of them, and I'm not buying the Texans this year at all. Besides, their defense is good. But I think this offense is going to struggle. Here's the one. Like I said, Pro Football Focus metrics, like I said earlier, the Titans at 4. The Texans come in at number 29. They have a very bad offensive line. They don't have much of a passing threat because their quarterback is going to be either Savage or eventually, I think, Deshaun Watson.
Right. I agree.
That doesn't bode well for loading the box up. Shaky offensive line and Deonta Foreman waiting in the wings. I don't like Lamar Miller. I think Lamar Miller is going too high because of the lack of running backs out there. I think Lamar Miller's draft position is way too high. I think he is destined to disappoint this year in fantasy football. Destined to disappoint.
So, I mean, that's just one thing that's what we disagree on. And I don't necessarily – I don't think – like I said, he's very high risk, high reward. He's a guy, depending on what my first 2, maybe even 3 picks look like, he's a guy I might be willing to take that risk on because he does have that extra factor of being able to catch a pass and break it off for 45 yards out of the backfield. So that's where I am on Lamar Miller.
Right,
so,
yeah, he's a solid football player, but I'm not big on Lamar Miller this year. He's one of my busts.
All right, so we already talked about a couple. Let's move on to our sleepers a little, Matt. So who are you liking as a sleeper?
So I mentioned all my sleepers are wide receivers. My one sleeper I mentioned already, Moncrief. And then I actually have 2 Titan wide receivers. As I said, I'm all in on Mariota. I love the Titans offense. It hurts me to say it as a Colts fan, but I love the Titans this year, especially on offense. I'm going with 2 sleepers, Eric Decker and Rashard Matthews. Decker coming in from the Jets. He's been playing great he's been doing really well in camp. I've seen reports that Mariota loves him. He's just a great locker room guy. A couple numbers for Decker. He played the last 2 years with the Jets, and the Jets were bad. And
they were bad.
His last 3 years with the Jets, in his last 2, even though he missed a lot of time last year, he still has managed to haul in 17 touchdowns. He's another guy that has that terrific red zone capability.
Big time red zone upside.
I think Mariota coming in is going to be the best quarterback that he's had since Peyton, because with the Jets he was struggling with Fitzpatrick and all those other guys, so he did excel with shaky quarterback play. I think Mariota, this fresh look, this offense is going to be high-powered. Like you said, they're going to run 60-plus, try to get to 70 plays a game. I think that bodes great for Decker. It bodes great for Rashard Matthews. Matthews last season, guys don't really know a lot about this guy, but 65 catches for 945 yards and 9 touchdowns for Rashard Matthews.
He had a good year.
That's a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns for a guy that no one's really talking about. He's hardly getting picked in drafts. He's sliding way down. I think these 2 guys are guys you can get late. They're way down in ADP, and I think both of them have terrific upside with this Titan offense. I love Rashard Matthews and Decker. And Corey Davis. We'll talk about Corey Davis,
I agree.
too.
I agree with Decker. I don't have Rashard Matthews. I just think Rashard Matthews I don't think he fits any of these categories. I think he's a guy you can pick and play in your roster, but I think he's going to be about the value that you're going to get him at. I don't feel like he has that big breakout potential or anything like that, because I think they have the guys like Corey Davis, like we said, and Eric Decker, who I think is going to be a focal point of that receiving core. So, I mean, I'm kind of the same boat with Decker. His wife's beautiful, so, I mean, you got to give him props for that as well.
Yeah, dude. I would draft Eric Decker just based on how hot his wife is.
Her Twitter is really funny, too. But so I'm going to –
Jesse James Decker.
Jesse James. So I'm going to break out a sleeper that I know will get a couple of our fans going a little bit, I know. I'm going to go with the Jags defense. And I know we don't talk about defenses that much. But, I mean, I've done, the first time I had the Jags in our first rankings, I had the Jags all the way down, I think, 12 or 14 or something like that. I had them at 15, and now I have them moved up to number 12 just from watching them in the first couple of games and stuff like that. They didn't look great against the Bucs, but the Bucs, their offense is really high-powered. The Jags defense, they have Calais Campbell. They have, I'm going to butcher his name. I'm going to try Yannick Ngakoue, I think it's pronounced.
Yannick
Ngakoue, okay.
You gave it a shot. You gave it a good shot.
Then they got Dante Fowler Jr. to come in as a sub, basically, on that outside. Then you got Malik Jackson, the defensive tackle, Miles Jack, and Paul Posluszny. And then I think they have the best cornerback duo in the game with A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. So those 2 together, A.J. Bouye, UCF fella, nobody thought he was going to do anything, and then he went to the Texans, started working his way up, and now they have him. I rated as, I think, one of the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL, paired up with Jalen Ramsey. Like, that duo together is going to be really good. With the exception of the Titans, I don't feel like any offense in that division is really going to break through and have like a huge monster year that can put up a lot of yards and stuff like that. Maybe the occasional Andrew Luck, showing. But for the most part, I feel like the Jags are set up for success in that defense. So, Ty, Kerr, I hope you guys are listening. I'm shouting out your team here. The Jags defense is my sleeper. So
I think the Jags defense is good on paper, but they are the Jaguars. And once they get out on that football field, you could toss that roster out the door, throw it away. It doesn't matter.
I hope those were your notes. I hope those were your notes right there. So
that was worth it. Hey, it was worth it to go off script for the rest of the time because I throw the roster out of the way. They're good on paper, I agree. And Ramsey and Bouye are a solid cornerback duo. They're going to need to get better play out of their linebacking core and those DNs. Like we said, they're very big names, a lot of young talent, but they have to finally produce. I'm not seeing it. I think the Jags are a middle-of-the-road defense, not a defense I'd want to start in fantasy football. But getting onto it, so a couple busts. Do you have any other busts? I know that I mentioned Lamar Miller.
Yeah,
do you have any guys you don't like in the AFC South this year?
Yeah, well, let's talk about one guy first, Matt, because before we break on the bust, I have him as a sleeper. I know you have him as a bust. That's what you talked about before. DeAndre Hopkins. Let's get into DeAndre Hopkins a little bit, right? Yeah, I think you have him as a bust, right?
I do.
Yeah, so DeAndre Hopkins, for me, I put him down as a sleeper, and that's because DeAndre Hopkins is a wide receiver that he had a bad year last year. But the year before that, he had 111 catches for 1,520 yards and 11 touchdowns. And even last year, which was a bad year because the aforementioned Brock Osweiler was the starting quarterback, he had 78 catches for 950 yards and 4 touchdowns, which are not by any means wide receiver 1 numbers, but they are still decent wide receiver numbers. So I don't think you can discount DeAndre Hopkins. And I think he's going right now. He's fallen into the 4th round in some drafts. And he's a guy that, for me, has top 5 upside. I remember, like I said, that year, 2 years ago, he finished as wide receiver 3, I'm pretty sure. So he's a guy that has proven capability to be a top number 1 wide receiver. And I just think he's on a bounce. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm high on the Texans offense, but I just think they're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to be down a lot. DeAndre Hopkins is their biggest target now with Fuller gone. I don't think Jalen Strong is there yet, and I don't think – the guy that impressed this past week, I don't know if you saw in the game the other day, was Bruce Ellington. Bruce Ellington had like 10 catches or something like that, and he was 2 touchdowns, whatever, in the preseason game. But I just think that DeAndre Hopkins is on the rise. I think he's going to have a bounce-back year. So I have him as a sleeper because I think he's going to have a better value than where he's going.
So I see what you're saying. I have Hopkins as a bust. And my other bust is, and for the same exact reason, I'm going to kind of lump these guys together because my rationale is pretty much the same for both of them. DeAndre Hopkins and Allen Robinson, my Penn State boy, AR-15. I think the reason I have these 2 guys as busts is because they both had bad seasons last year compared to the season before. So they come into last season, both of them had high expectations, and they both struggled. And I think a lot of people, like yourself, expect them to bounce back. And I just don't think that either one of them is going to bounce back.
I don't think Robinson's going to bounce back. I have Robinson as a bust as well, so I'll just mention that quick too. I don't think he's going to bounce back.
I don't really think 21 Savage is that good of a quarterback.
Is he better than Osweiler, though? Is he better than Osweiler?
I mean, that's like asking.
Okay, but he slings the ball. I think he slings the ball more than Osweiler. I think that's where I think Hopkins has that advantage.
Yeah, he'll throw the ball. He is better than Osweiler. We've been talking about Brock Osweiler way too much this episode, but I do think he's better than Osweiler. But I just don't. Once again, I don't think this Texans offense is going to be great. I think as far as receivers go, their fantasy production and their fantasy value coincides very greatly with the guy who's throwing the ball and how well their offense as a whole is performing. And I can see this Texans team struggling because there's going to be this turmoil between Savage and Watson because Savage is going to go out and very well might struggle.
He's not going to be a Savage, I don't think. But
then the Boo Birds are going to be calling for Watson. That's bad mojo for your offense. Their offensive line sucks, flat out sucks. And I just think it all bodes for Hopkins staying stuck in that trap of where he was last year with that just middle of the road. I don't know if he's a guy you can trust in fantasy football, but that's just me. We could agree to disagree on Hopkins. Getting into AR.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about Allen Robinson.
Getting into Allen Robinson, this one you agree with me. Just what's going on with the Jags offensively? Blake Bortles now, his job is just now magically opened back up, and for good reason. But, when you have a guy that all offseason, now all training camp, all preseason, he's your guy. And then after your second preseason game, now the job is just opened back up. That is just
I go back and I think okay, so like I said, you guys obviously know I'm a UCF grad, whatever. Bortles at UCF is so fun to watch. And I honestly think back to that draft and I wonder, what do you think it would look like right now if Bortles went number 1 to the Texans and didn't go to Jacksonville? Like, what do you think would
it'd be a different situation with Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien would have gotten him straightened out. I don't know what they're doing down in Jacksonville, but Bill O'Brien would have had him straightened out. But he's just been flat out awful. He was awful last year.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
They've been continuing, and once again, like I said, your guy throwing you the passes is struggling. Allen Robinson is going to struggle. You saw at practice the other day. He called him out. He said he can't even. There clearly is some tension in that locker room.
Oh, for sure.
Now they're bringing the job.
And that's just it, because Robinson had a huge year, and then he hasn't been the same since. And that's just it. Like, you have that breakout year, and I feel like that puts that, confidence in the guy's head too. Robinson's like, I had a top 10 wide receiver? I had a top 10 wide receiver year. And then last year he goes and does nothing. That's an awful year.
He was a dud. He was a fantasy dud last year for sure. I took him in the first round, second round.
Sure. Yeah.
I took him in that 10-11 spot. I took him with the 11th pick, and he was a complete dud for me. And he's on his contract year. I can't possibly see him re-signing. So he's half out the door as well.
Unless they magically goes up for 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns again, which would be nice, but whoever takes the risk on it.
I don't like AR-15 this year. I mean, he's my boy, the Penn State guy. I love him to death. I think he's a really talented guy, but I think
their offense. The Jags' offense is a mess. So we're gonna start sway. You don't have any more busts, I don't think, right?
Nope. Let's swing it into the rookies.
Swing it into the rookies, and we'll just lead in with Leonard Fournette. Then the rookie, number 4 overall pick out of LSU. He is animal. He is a big, hard runner. I think he is going to get – I would not be surprised, Matt, if he's carrying the ball 25, 30 times, honestly, the first couple weeks of the year, especially until they get everything worked out with the quarterback. But he's going to be a workhorse. I love him. I think he's worth the value he could honestly –
I like Fournette a lot.
If you get front-loaded on receivers, he could be a number 1 back almost for you. So
definitely. Because they don't have a bad offensive line. The Jaguars' offensive line is middle of the road. Fournette's going to be the workhorse. I think they're going to have to lean heavily on him.
Because they finally got rid of Luke Joeckel. Luke Joeckel was rated the worst. He was a number 3 pick 3 years ago, and he was rated in the last 6% of the NFL on offensive tackles, which blows my mind. So, but
yeah, I think he has a chance to really burst onto the scene. Like you said, I've seen in a lot of mock drafts, the guys that go receiver. He's kind of that running back that might end up as your number 1 running back, which isn't horrible as long as you have the receivers to back it up. So I think Fournette does have some upside. I think he's the best Jag to really, with any fantasy potential. I know Robinson might be okay, but I don't like Robinson. I like Fournette, though. I really do like Fournette. I would take him as – I don't know if for my draft strategy is a little different. I probably would want him as my second running back, but I like him a lot. I think he is going to – right off the bat, he's going to succeed. And start off I think he's going to have a great career, and I think he's going to start it off with a bang, with a fantastic rookie year for Leonard Fournette.
So let's talk about now the guy we already talked about a little bit too with that Tennessee receiving corps, Corey Davis, the wide receiver out of Western Michigan. He was the I forget what number. Oh, it was Fournette. Fournette went 3rd overall, didn't he?
4th.
Okay, and then Corey Davis
was
number 5.
Or was it 3rd?
No, I think it might have been 4 and 5. It was either 4 and 5 or 3 and 4, whatever. One of those two. They were both top 5 picks. Top 5 wide receivers that are picked in the draft are always end in fantasy football wise. I saw this stat from Matthew Berry actually said this today in his podcast. Top 5 wide receivers drafted have always finished in the top 30 of fantasy, with the exception of, which was crazy to me, Calvin Johnson was the only one that didn't finish in the top 30 his rookie year after being a top 5 pick. So you got those guys like Sammy Watkins, it was a top 5 pick. All the
Evans,
Mike Evans, right? All those guys that are top 5 picks, they always end up having decent rookie years. But I think Corey Davis fits in there. We already talked about. We think that offense is going to be good. So
yeah, I think they're going to be smoking this year on offense.
He is hurt right now. He's a little shaken up, I know, but they say he's going to be ready by the start of the year, which is all you can really ask for at this point.
Basically, what I think is, right off the get-go, I think he's going to be a little sluggish. I think that as the year progresses, he'll get better. I do think Corey Davis can come on the scene. We saw him. He's a super talented wide receiver. So I think towards the end of the year, he's going to have a lot of fantasy value as he gets his feet under him in the NFL. I like Corey Davis, mainly because I like the Titans this year. I think their offense is going to be great. So I am high on Corey Davis. Who else do you have, Ben? I have I know we both talked about Marlon Mack the rookie wide receiver or the rookie running back rather for the Colts coming in. They drafted him with, I think, their second pick. And Marlon Mack coming in is in a really interesting spot because of Frank Gore's age. I know the Colts don't have a great offensive line, and I know that their staple has never, ever been to run the ball. But I think that with Gore getting older, I think this is probably going to be the year when he starts to slow down. I know he's had a great career, another guy that's just been underrated, under the radar, fantasy-wise. I really like him. But I think that he's going to start to slow down, and I think Marlon Mack could actually he's done some things in the preseason. They really like him. He's moved up to second on the depth chart. He's overtaken Robert Turbin. So I think he has a chance to really step in and take a lot of carries from Gore. And Gore has never really been one to get hurt, but when you get to his age, you never know. And if he does go down, Marlon Mack has some big-time fantasy potential.
I just think, like you said, Frank Gore, he has been a workhorse, and he's played every game for, I don't know how, I think 3 or 4 straight years now. So he's a guy that I do think has potential to still be a good, especially fantasy-wise. I think he can still be an RB2 flex guy, nice fill-in weak guy. But with the loss of their center, I think that's a big blow for their run game as well, and it's also going to hurt Luck when he gets back. But other than that, I mean, I'm not too worried about Marlon Mack. I don't think this is his year, but I think he's definitely a running back for the future, and that's why they took him now. But I just have one more quick rookie to mention. We talked about him a little bit. Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is eventually going to be the starting quarterback for the Texans. I do think Tom Savage will start, get a couple games under his belt, get Watson some work. Especially Watson's looked pretty good in the preseason with the exception of the other day. He only had, I think it was like 3 of 10 or something like that, which isn't very good, but he did have 90-something yards. So that's that rookie. He looked good in the first game, I know. So that's just the rookie jitters, I'm sure, trying to shake them off. But I think he'll be the starter come, second half of the year. So.
Yeah, I honestly think that Watson will end up being the starter eventually, like we said. I don't know how much fantasy value he's going to have. I like Watson. I think he's a born winner. I think this is going to be one of more of the kind of thing where he'll probably down the road. I think he's going to have that progression like a Mariota, like a Winston. I think he's going to be set to be better in a couple years. But as far as his rookie year, maybe watch out for him. I mean, they do have an easy schedule. If they play the Colts and he's the starter, I mean, he's not a bad bet because their defense is atrocious. But, I like Deshaun Watson. I think down the road he will end up being a very fantasy-relevant quarterback. Yeah. Not right away. I mean, we'll see how long it takes 21 Savage to get booted from the lineup. We'll see. But, so that's what we got really for the AFC South. Oh, got to do the record predictions. So, Ben, what do you think for the AFC South? Who do you like?
So it's tough, and I don't think anybody's going to really stand out personally. But I'm going to say the Titans are going to go 10-6. I think they're in line for a 10-6 year. I think they'll win the division. I think they're going to Mariota is going to progress them along. I think they're going to, like I said, I think their offense is going to be good. They have a surprisingly decent defense too. People don't realize their defense is sneaky. Not necessarily good, but it always has a couple. They always seem to have a couple pick six here and there and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go.
Right.
I'm going to go 10-6 for them. I'm going to put the Jags at 9-7. I think the Jags are going to have a progressive year, and they're going to go over 500. They're going to go 9-7. Yep, mark it down. That's fine. I'm going to go 8-8 for the Colts. I do think that Luck will, if Luck's healthy, they have potential to maybe have 10 wins, but I think they're going to go about 8-8. And then I'm going to put the bottom of the division there, the Texans, at about 5-11, maybe 4-12. I think they're in line for not a very good year, so. Shaky division, Matt. You like that, huh?
Wow.
I'm going wild, man. I'm getting wild with it.
Wow. Wow. Well, I disagree a little bit on one of the teams.
Obviously.
That would be the Jaguars. 9-7 from the Jaguars?
Yeah.
Did I hear that correctly? Are these okay? These are working? Okay,
yeah, man.
Okay, I just making sure. I thought maybe
they lost so many games last year in the fourth quarter. I mean, I think they had 3 or 4 losses last year that they held the lead in the fourth quarter, but they just couldn't hold on to the game. So I think that if they turn a couple of those games around, maybe make a field goal here and there, I think they have the potential, and I think they're right there, especially with their defense.
Losers lose, man. Losers lose games. I agree with you with the Titans. I have the Titans at 10-6. I also have my Indianapolis Colts at 10-6. I think that they are going to Luck is going to come out healthy. He's going to play week 1.
They have to score 70 points a game. They have to score 70 points a game, Matt.
Enough. Enough. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. 32nd out of 32 teams. The easiest schedule in the NFL. If they don't win double-digit games, Pagano's out. I think they win 10 games. They're going to sneak into the AFC wild card, or depending on how the tiebreaker with the Titans goes, I think they're both going to go 10-6. Whichever team doesn't win the division at 10-6 is going to sneak in the wild card. I have the Texans going 7-9 behind Savage. I think their defense is good enough with J.J. Watt and Clowney. I think their defense is good enough to carry them to a couple wins. I think they'll win 7 games. And I have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning 4 games. I have them going 4-12. That's their number.
Hey, we just see the different. We just see the different thing. I think the Jaguars. I honestly think the Jaguars defense is going to be better than the Texans defense this year. I know you have a guy like J.J. Watt, but what else do they have? They lost Bouye, their best corner, and now he went to the Jaguars, who paired him up with Jalen Ramsey, who's another top 5 corner. Calais Campbell came over from the Cardinals, pass rusher on the outside, and plus don't forget they drafted Dante Fowler last year, who didn't even play a game because he tore his ACL. So I think they're just loaded. I do think that they need to settle their quarterback situation. I eventually think it's going to be Bortles. And I think Bortles, you've seen him. I mean, I know he throws the ball a lot, but he has shown in games before that he can be relevant. So if he can somehow turn it around, I think they'll be okay. But with Fournette and the defense they have, I like the Jags this year. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but 9-7. I mean, I think they have 9-7. And I'm not saying they're going to get 9 wins, but I think that's the math. I think 9's their cap. I'd probably put them somewhere, around 8, maybe 7, but I don't think 4. I think they're in line for a bigger win up than that.
4 games. So, I'm giving them the big 4. That's the Jaguars' number.
What do you give me as an over? Set a line for me.
All right. You say they're going to win 9. I say they're going to win 4.5. Let's set the line at 6.5.
6.5. I'll take the over.
I'll take the by God under, man.
All right.
I'm smashing the under on 6.5.
Another bet for you.
All right, write that one down.
Jags,
those of you guys that don't know, I'll explain it. For those of you that don't know, Ben and I are doing a little bet challenge. I'm sure if you've seen any of our past episodes, if you haven't, go check them out.
I'm winning 4-1.
They're awesome.
I'm winning 4-1.
Ben is winning 4-1 in the bet challenge, and we have a date soon to be determined. At the end of that date, whoever's losing has to buy one of you lucky guys a copy of either Madden or 2K. So I got some ground to make up.
You're going to pick yours up tonight, so you can just keep it in the wrapper.
I might have to pick up too.
Just keep it in the wrapper and just send it away now because you're going to need to. So
that's what I'm doing all night tonight, by the way. Madden coming out, I'm going to get it.
So basically how it's going to work is I'm going to start it this week. Basically, I'm going to get it going and start making a sheet, and you guys will be able to follow along where we're going to put probably about 6 college games and probably all the NFL games, and Matt and I are going to pick who we want to win. And it's not going to be like I have to pick the Jags because he has to pick the Colts. It'll be like, the Jags are plus 4 points against the Colts. We get to pick who we want, and we'll just keep a running tally. So it's not like we're going head-to-head each week. It's an overall head-to-head. So it's basically your normal pick-em challenge. So we're looking forward to that, especially once basketball, football's all going at the same time. My headphones just came unattached there, Matt. So
it's tough over there in Florida, man. But, hey, so I heard you mention something about college football. So we'll get to the betting challenge because we have one more bet to make today. The Jaguars one was a spur-of-the-moment bet. We have one more bet to make today.
I'm very happy with that one, too.
But, that's easy. 6.5, smash that under, baby. I heard you mention college football. So today, the official AP polls came out. So just got super excited. College football right around the corner here at Penn State. There's a lot of buzz going on about the Nittany Lions. So real quick, guys, we'll just talk real quick about the top 10 that was announced today by the AP. Coming in at number 10, you got the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Number 9, Wisconsin Badgers. Number 8, Washington Huskies. 7, the Sooners of Oklahoma. 6, the Penn State Nittany Lions. 5, the Clemson Tigers. 4, the USC Trojans. 3, the Seminoles of Florida State. 2, the Buckeyes of Ohio State. And number 1, no surprise again.
Nick Saban,
the Crimson Tide of Alabama. So we've talked about it a little bit. We've already done we've talked a little bit about college football. I'm just ecstatic about it. I think it is going to be one of the greatest college football seasons ever. It's going to be so exciting here at Penn State because all the hype around them. I think there's a lot of
too, man. I get to experience it. So,
yeah, Ben, booking tickets.
Make or Break Sports is going to actually get to do a podcast together in the middle of October when Penn State plays Michigan at Penn State. I'm going to make a trip up there, hang out for the weekend. Matt and I actually play each other in fantasy football that week, so we'll have a lot of trash talking going on.
A lot of stuff going on that weekend.
It's going to be fun, but look forward to that in October. I know it's a little ways down the road, but I'm already excited.
Look forward to Penn State. Look forward to Penn State beating the Michigan Wolverines. That's for sure. So that's going to be great. Just some college football stuff. I mean, we know Bama plays Florida State the first week. That's going to be great. Florida playing Michigan. That's another top 25 matchup. Florida coming in at 17.
Did I tell you about the Chick-fil-A thing? Did I tell you about that?
You didn't. Okay. I didn't hear.
So the new Atlanta Stadium, Chick-fil-A was founded in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
The new Atlanta Stadium has a Chick-fil-A in it, but it's closed on Sunday. So the day where the most people are there, I know they have concerts and stuff like that they're going to have in college games and everything like that. College will be fine. But for 7 Sundays, only 7 because I do have a Thursday night game, which is home. But for 7 home games, Chick-fil-A will be closed. So they're just going to be sitting there. I think that's crazy. That's kind of wild to me. I understand it's like.
Yeah, I saw that too. That is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, I know that's only 7 days you're going to hurt him, but that's just come on. Who thought
there were too many smart engineering, finance people. There's a lot of people that should have caught that. But, hey, for the Michigan-Florida game – or wait, no, what's the game that's in there? Bama and FSU.
Bama-FSU is there, yeah.
For the Bama-FSU game, you guys can go enjoy some Chick-fil-A.
Help yourself. Pay $450 for the chicken and then pay $20 for Chick-fil-A. I'm sure how much it costs in there.
I love it, man. It's going to be great. Chick-fil-A is worth it. I don't know about the game so much, but Chick-fil-A definitely worth it.
All right, so that basically all – I mean, I don't really have anything. We already talked about our college football stuff a little bit. I mean, no.
I think next week we'll definitely get into some college football special.
Yeah, we got some bets coming for sure. So.
Yep. So speaking of bets, coming up, probably the biggest sports buzz right now is talking about the big boxing match this Saturday night between Conor McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather. One of the most anticipated fights in recent memory. McGregor jumping over from UFC to boxing. He's going to step into the ring. A lot of trash talk. Anybody that saw any of the pre-show weigh-in kind of media days, just so much trash talk here, so much buzz, so much media attention. I'm super excited. We're buying the fight. We're going to have it here. It's going to be great. I can't wait to watch it. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I'm not a huge boxing fan. I mean, I know it's anticipated and I'll probably find a way to watch it. We'll probably go either somewhere. But to me, it's just there's so much hype, and I really don't think it's going to be that much. I know that's not doing as well already. It's not doing as well as Mayweather-Pacquiao, and I was all about Mayweather-Pacquiao. But I just think it's a cool concept bringing the UFC fighter over to fight Mayweather, the supposedly self-proclaimed GOAT. So 49-0 on the line. So we'll see. I mean, I'm anxious.
Yeah, he's not the most humble guy in the world. McGregor is not the most humble guy.
What we did for this
neither of them are.
Because neither of us really had the confidence, and this one we wanted to pick one or the other. So neither of us really had the confidence to be like, I want him straight up. So what we came up with is Matt was willing to take McGregor, but we're going to give him 4-1 odds. So if McGregor beats Mayweather, he's going to get 4 points, which will put him in front of me for the challenge. But if Mayweather wins, I only get the 1 point, which will increase my lead even more. So I'll take that either way. So I was willing to give that to him. So you can put it on the board. Matt's got McGregor at 4-1
odds. I'm taking Mayweather. The Irishman. Let's go. He's going to come out there like a spider monkey, the light gloves. I'm all about it. I did ultimately think that Mayweather is going to win. I think he is the boxer. I think he's the proven boxer. It probably won't be as exciting of a fight as a lot of people mentioned because the way Mayweather boxes, he wears you out, he gets you, and he wins by points. He doesn't win by knockouts a whole lot, especially, watching the Pacquiao fight. We saw that one was a much anticipated one. Mayweather just kind of wore him out, or didn't even really wear him out. He just won by points.
Yeah. So that's what we got for that.
Ultimately, I think that – so I'm taking – with 4-1 odds, I'm taking Conor McGregor. I think that he's got the juice, and he is going to get me – he's going to vault me back into the lead of the bet challenge. I'm going with McGregor.
Not until the Jags. Wait till the Jags, though.
We got to wait a long time for the Jags to win more than 6 games. You might have to wait a couple of years for the Jags to win more than 6 games. So that's our bet for this week, the McGregor-Mayweather fight. I'm tuning in. I'm excited about it. Lots to check out, and we'll definitely be talking about that next week's podcast. And then we have one more quick special announcement.
Yeah, so I'll go over this. This is
I'll let Ben talk about it. Go ahead.
I've been wanting to do this for a little bit. I'm really excited. I know Matt's on board. We're doing these little specials, these 30-minute specials or show, and we have one coming out this week. It'll be Thursday through Saturday, one of those days. We're not really sure which day yet, but keep your eye out for it. We're going to do a mock draft special. What we're going to do is we're going to do this cool app or this cool website called Draft Wizard, Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard, and we're going to show it on our screen. We're going to screen share it to you guys, and Matt and I are going to go through a 10-team PPR draft, and we're just going to – and it's nice because there's no timer. It's all the other picks are done by a computer, but they do it randomized. So it's like, you have all different scenarios, whether it be Rodgers in the second round or somebody jumping up and taking Gronk in the first to get that kind of thing. So definitely a lot of insight, and we're going to analyze who we're picking and why. And we're going to do it together. So him and I are going to debate on who we should take and why and see what we can have available and that kind of stuff. So it's something to look forward to. It's going to help you guys get going. And plus, it's only going to take about 30 minutes or so to get through. But we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be a shorter special. And we'll kind of, and we might be able to go through a couple different scenarios, and we're going to try to really map out a couple different ways to go about your draft. So we'll try to get that out sometime early this week because I know a lot of drafts happening this weekend. We'll definitely have it out to you guys by this weekend because this is a very popular draft weekend and then the following week as well. So the mock draft special will be coming out soon. That'll be a very exciting one. That's pretty much all we have today for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been episode 6. Like we said, stay tuned for all kinds of cool stuff coming up this week, the mock draft special, then our special next week. We also have some other rankings to come out. Hey, if you're not subscribed to us, subscribe down below. Hit that sub button so you turn those notifications on so you know when we go live. We'll have all kinds of stuff posted on Facebook, so get us on Facebook, like us, find us on Twitter at MRB Sports. Get involved. If there's anything you'd like to see,
we still need people for our league too, our listener league. We're trying to get a group of about 10 people together so we can run a listener league. Prize to free entry. It's going to be a 10-team league, hopefully. Free entry, prize to the winner. You're going to face up against me and Matt, and we're going to go through each week. We're going to give an analysis on the podcast. So if your team does something good or something really bad, like you don't say your lineup, we can make fun of you. So if you want to get involved in that, hit us up somehow.
Which we will do.
We'll make fun of each other too, though. So, but I think that's all we got for this week, man.
Yeah, guys, this has been Make or Break Sports. High hopes, low blows. Episode number 6. Check in next time. As always, I'm Matt. I'm Ben.
You guys have a good week. See you this week.
Take it easy. Take it easy, everybody.
Enjoy the